If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, oh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
Hello and welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, bringing you all kinds of insanity. Also this hour, we've got the Wrestlemania Axxess interviews. Mike Samsel and I tag teaming up at Wrestlemania Axxess the couple of days prior to the granddaddy of them all, about a month ago now. It's amazing how time is flying, to say the least. But yeah, we'll have those interviews for you over the course of the couple of days. We got the chance to talk to Damien Sandow. We've got that interview coming up this hour. Also, William Regal, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, legendary manager, as well as Kofi Kingston, who, well, at that point was just kind of around, but since then he's won himself a championship. So a lot of stuff to get into and a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's go ahead and kick things off with a bang, though. Let's bring up Ed the Showstopper. Do we have Ed the Showstopper? Ed, are you there?
Yes.
There we go. Bringing things up right here. What's going on, Ed?
We got SmackDown tour in Reading tonight at the Soccer Center.
Alrighty.
And House of Hardcore is coming to the Northeast June 22nd.
I did read about that. That's the second venture of Tommy Dreamer, kind of putting his own promotion together. A little bit of a hybrid of new stars as well as the extreme stars of yesteryear. And a couple of notable names they're bringing in. Terry Funk's going to be at the event, as is the Nature Boy Ric Flair. That's just a couple of the advertised names. Tommy Dreamer himself will be wrestling in that, and I believe a pretty notable tag team match of the Young Bucks and
Cologne, or Carly Cologne.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Carlito's going to be there. I mean, there's definitely a lot going on. I mean, as it's obviously about 6-7 weeks away, so as more information comes in, we'll talk a little bit about it more and see what we can do to get some other folks in here to talk about it as well.
We have G1 Pro Wrestling in Bayville with Pat and other people at 7:30 tonight.
Man, there's a lot of stuff going on. Well, I know I'm going to be I'll actually be up in Souderton for the WWWA show. I was asked graciously, and this is kind of a first for me, but I was asked to do the play-by-play commentary. They're going to be recording the event, and that's up in Souderton. I'll get you. Actually, I believe one of our fans actually posted the information or the poster on the WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly Facebook fan page. I'll get that going.
Do you know anything about tickets about House of Hardcore?
I'm sure you can get the information at houseofhardcore.com. I'll take a look over the course of the during the first commercial break. I'll see what I can do about finding out more information.
Later on in the day.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm probably punching up later on in the day.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I don't believe it's sold out yet necessarily. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily at that point yet, but I mean, I'm sure tickets are still available and
good shows.
Yeah, houseofhardcore.net, I believe, is the actual the address for it, and I'm sure if you go on there, you'll be able to find out more information as far as actually you can buy tickets right there on their website. The first row is sold out, but you can get second row seats for $45, third row for $35, general admission is $25, and that is at the National Guard Armory right on Southampton Road in almost as far as you can get northeast without crossing northeast Philly over into Bensalem. So it's way up there, but they've done a lot of shows, and this is their first time coming to the Philadelphia area, as their debut show back in the fall was up in New York. So certainly should be a good one. Too Cold Scorpio is going to be on the card. And more is going to be said as the match and the event gets a little bit closer.
Have a nice day.
All right. Thank you so much for chiming in, Ed. They don't call him Ed the Showstopper for nothing. Starship Matt in the house for the last time, so I've been told.
Last time for now.
For now?
Yeah,
okay. This is all right. This is not a goodbye, but it's so long for now. You're
Yeah, we got some things to do this summer, a degree to wrap up back at the Q's.
Back at the Q's representing the Orangemen.
The Orangemen, of course. Now just orange.
Oh, it's just the orange? They've taken the men out of it?
Yeah.
Oh, they got to go politically correct.
Exactly,
the men and the women.
Exactly. Which isn't as bad as the Red Tails, which is the what the Redskins are rumored to be considering to switch to.
Oh, sweet mercy.
You haven't heard that?
I have not heard that.
The Washington, yeah. It's, the St. John, who are now the Red Storm. They used to be the
Reds. Oh gosh, what is that going to do for my beloved Neshaminy Redskins? Oh dear, I'm going through a culture shock. It's bad enough that my middle school is now in rubble at this point, as they're putting some new stuff in for a hospital that's right across the street. They're adding even more onto that.
Those great Fearon middle school memories.
Are they? Yeah, they're a sponsor of our St. Mary Medical Center. I can mention them, sure. Got to make sure I'm covered. I don't want to get in trouble with any of the bosses, especially since they've each already been here twice in the last 11 hours, something like that. Yeah, it's been a wild day here, to say the least, at BCB. And,
as always.
Yeah, definitely, as always. And we'll be getting to those interviews in a little bit. Mike Samsel's supposed to be chiming in. He's pulling a rock. He's going to be calling in via satellite to talk about the interviews and talk about the experience. But in the meanwhile, a pretty good amount of stuff to go over. We've got the 3 matches set, a development in that one of the matches now has a stipulation thrown in, the triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship, Dolph Ziggler, Alberto Del Rio, and Jack Swagger. Well, there was a match determined this past Monday on Raw where the winning, I guess, representative of each of those 3 individuals could allow that wrestler to choose the stipulation for the world title match. So, yes, we got to see a match between Ricardo Rodriguez, Big E Langston, and Zeb Coulter. And Ricardo Rodriguez, he ended up getting the victory in that, and Del Rio made the decision that this would be a triple threat ladder match. So now the belt will be held up high, kind of like the Money in the Bank briefcase that Ziggler initially had to climb to get the championship that he now has, and he'll have to climb that ladder one more time and grab the belt to retain it and remain as champion. So there's that development, along with John Cena and Ryback for the WWE Championship, which is certainly under a little bit of question, a little bit of scrutiny, as over the course of the European tour that WWE was on recently. Well, John Cena, he injured his Achilles tendon. Yes, John Cena injuring his right Achilles. He suffered a right Achilles tendon injury, according to the WWE website, while working with Ryback during the European tour. It raises questions about their match at Extreme Rules and whether it puts Ryback a step closer to the WWE Championship. No details yet regarding Cena's recovery time, but that doesn't mean that Cena wasn't active, and we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up this hour. But right now on the line, we've got my colleague, friend, and I guess tag team partner in a sense, Mike Samsel. Mike, what's going on?
What's going on, Fearon? How are you? Sorry to pull Dwayne Johnson on you guys. I apologize.
That's all right. Sound like you're underwater wherever you're at.
Oh, am I?
A little bit, just a little bit. All right, so let me go ahead and set this up. So, what are we, 4 weeks ago now, we were up at Wrestlemania Axxess, got the chance to check out the whole scene. I know we've talked about it arguably ad nauseum, but we got the chance to talk with a couple of notable wrestlers, including one of your favorites, to say the least. And we'll go ahead and lead off with that, somebody who you've been a huge fan of, and there's actually been a rather huge following on the Facebook fan page that has been noted. One Damien Sandow. Talk a little bit about that.
Damien was such a great guy, and one of the things I liked about him and I found funny about him was the fact that he would hand sanitize every time he shook hands with a fan, and he was also signing autographs with a quill. That's commitment to your character. I thought that was awesome, and I really enjoyed doing the interview as well.
Yes, the quill pen had me cracking up as well. I didn't catch the hand sanitizer, but that's why you're good at paying attention to details and I'm not necessarily. So without further ado, now the thing you have to bear in mind with these interviews, because we're in the midst of thousands of fans who are all trying to meet these individuals, we were kind of told, get in, ask a quick question or two, get out. There wasn't a whole lot of time to mingle and have a lengthy conversation because we were taking time away from people who paid, $60 a pop to get into Axxess?
Yeah, about that. It wasn't cheap. So, yeah, all these are relatively quick-hitting interviews and not relatively deep.
Yeah, well, but at the same time, still good to talk to them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's bring up Damien Sandow, courtesy of Mike Samsel.
Damien Sandow joins us here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on WBCB1490.com. Damien, how are you enjoying your first WrestleMania experience?
It is actually going quite well, thank you. I'm getting to meet more of the unwashed masses one-on-one and getting to enlighten them firsthand.
Now, you've been working with Cody Rhodes a lot lately. You started out as a single wrestler. What are you enjoying more, working with your best friend or being by yourself?
It doesn't matter. Either way, I am trying to enlighten the unwashed masses. It's great to have Cody. It's always good to go to work with your best friend.
Now, we're just outside of Philadelphia here at WBCB. Do you have any advice for the unwashed masses in Philadelphia?
Just listen to everything I say and apply it.
Damien, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Absolutely brilliant, and had to throw a "you're welcome" in at the end. How did it feel to be "you're welcomed" by Damien Sandow?
I unintentionally set that up so well. And as soon as I think it caught him off guard too, because it just worked out so well. Because it looked like he was going to say, no problem, whatever. But it just set up so perfectly. And the thing I loved about that is he's the one guy we interviewed that didn't break character.
Yeah, true. He was he totally he totally. He was as you thought he was. He was there to educate the unwashed masses, of which I am not one.
I am.
Well, admission is the first step to recovery, as they say. Oh, dear. All right. Now, the next couple here. Now, this next one's actually a pretty long interview, and this is from an individual who literally you wind him up and just let him go. Like, I could have asked him what time it was, and he could have talked about the origins of time going back before Stonehenge. He's just that detailed with his answers. None other than William Regal. We saw him a little bit on the European tour. He's doing a bunch of great stuff down with NXT, and here he is talking a little bit about that. WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly, speaking here with William Regal. First of all, big fan, following you all the way back to when I was a little kid and you were over in WCW with Lord Steven Regal. That's going way back. Do you have a particular favorite moment, regarding your rather lengthy career?
I think the first time when I first came to America and I was doing the Lord thing and I was the TV champion, that first few years of doing that was just because I'd gone from... I was 25 when that was happening, and I was wrestling Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, and it was just mind-blowing to me, So I think that holds the most special part in my career for me.
You were 25 then. You've only aged like 5 years in the last 20. How does that work?
45 next month. I'll be 45, yeah. Yeah, I came to America. I've been wrestling in August. I'll be 30 years since I had my first match.
Oh, my goodness.
August of 83, and then actually July of 84 is when I started full-time. So I've been a full-time wrestler. Yeah, it's mad.
Wow, that's excellent. How are things doing down in NXT? I know you've been doing a lot with that recently.
Excellent. I mean, it couldn't be any better. The facilities, the show. If you watch the NXT show, it's incredible. The talent, and I think it's the best show WWE does at the moment. Perhaps I'm a little biased, but a lot of people tell me that as well. It's a great wrestling show.
Well, it kind of harkens back to almost an old school kind of mentality.
Yes, and that's how you learn how to be a good pro wrestler, and also you learn to be a good entertainer. You have to be everything, and they've got all the opportunities in the world down there. The ones that take it are going to do really well, that take the opportunities and run with it. The ones who don't, well, we probably won't see them again. So, but that's the way it should be. You have to work hard to get on in this industry, and so everything's there for them to do that, and then make the most of it. They'll have a wondrous career.
Certainly. One last quick question. I know you're stacked here at Wrestlemania Axxess. How does it feel to be part of the WrestleMania experience, especially for all these years now?
I love it. This is what, my 12th, I think so, yes. I came in 2000, so I missed 2000, I was in 2001, I've been doing it ever since. I love doing this. I mean, it's just being a part of this just makes you sit back in awe sometimes and thinking that I started off wrestling on a carnival when I was 15, and I didn't expect to get any further than that. I was quite happy being there, because that was like the greatest job in the world to me, and to be a part of this spectacle and this many people. You know, I used to wrestle a few hundred people on a good night, and then just to see this is incredible. I'm actually glad I'm not wrestling, because it's too nerve-wracking. I like to be here and just to watch it all, and to meet people, and that, without having the worry of having to perform.
Absolutely. William Regal, thank you so much for taking your time to answer a few questions here for WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Now, that was a lot of fun talking with William Regal. In fact, oh, man. He mentioned his starting back at WrestleMania back in 2001, WrestleMania 17, and one of my memories that kind of jumps out at that was his feud with Chris Jericho, where Jericho had besmirched the commissioner's tea, if you remember. Yeah, that's
torching in the William Regal era.
Yeah, who would have thought? Well, I mean, being brought in as a commissioner, that was one thing, but then having that whole thing. And I think later after his match, he went back to his office, and there was Kamala jumping up and down on the desk, asking for him to rub the moons on his belly. Oh, I know, it's amazing. It feels like yesterday, and it was 12 years ago now, like he said in the interview. Crazy.
That's crazy to think about.
I know. I still scratch my head thinking about it. Like, wait a minute, I was in college when all that was going on. Now I'm here doing this. But I'm okay with that. This is the longest running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio, so I've done well for myself.
That's quite an honor.
It is, and I'm glad that you're a part of it.
I'm very happy to be a part of it, even if I am a good player. It's very fun to be on here, and I love doing Pro Wrestling Weekly. It's a lot of fun to talk with the unwashed masses, as they say now.
With the unwashed masses, yes. Among them, since you have already noted that you are one of them. I try to hold myself to a higher standard.
We learn together, Fearon. That's how this works.
We do. I'll get you started on DDP yoga yet. We'll talk about that coming up over the next couple of weeks. I got started with that, and I'm a week in, and I'm realizing quickly, wow, I have guns, and I never realized that I did. But these aren't the kind that you load. All right, let's load up another interview in the meanwhile. How about this one was kind of short and quick, but kind of a little bit of a play off of one of our most listened to replayed interviews going to the YouTube page, Pro Wrestling Weekly. A lot of people loved and listened to the interview that I had probably about 7 months ago now with AJ Lee. Of course, now she's with Dolph Ziggler. Back then, she was the general manager of Raw. But she had also noted that she's a huge video game player, and so too is this individual, your U.S. champ, Kofi Kingston. WBCB 1490 here at Wrestlemania Axxess with Kofi Kingston. Now, a couple of months ago, I had the chance to talk with AJ Lee, and she was telling me that you're a huge video game fan.
I know where this is going. I am a huge video game fan, but I'll let you ask the question. I know where you're going with it.
All right, well, the obvious question, what's your favorite video game?
My favorite video game, you know what? I think it's got to be Mortal Kombat. Just the entire franchise, to me, was just awesome. I spent, like, so many hours in the summer just wasting away playing Mortal Kombat and executing fatalities and all that stuff and babalities and friendships and all of that. So probably Mortal Kombat.
I hear. I couldn't get past Goro in the originals.
Yeah, Goro was so tough, man. Yeah. He was almost harder than Shang Tsung at some points.
Now, speaking of destruction in a different sense, I know we're going back a couple of years, but how did it feel to destroy Randy Orton's car?
it felt really, really good. You know, it forced me to be creative and figure out how I was going to do it, because in NASCAR, actually there's one right down there, which you guys obviously can't see on the radio, National Guard NASCAR down there, but there are no rear view windows. There are no side windows. The windows, the windshield was not supposed to break. It did. You know, I guess I hit it as hard as I could. But it was really, really cool to be a part of it. I almost fell 2 or 3 times, but somehow, some way, I learned how to stay on my feet like a cat, nimble, agile.
Great stuff. Kofi Kingston, thanks for a couple minutes. Appreciate it. I know a lot of people waiting here for you at WrestleMania Axxess.
Indeed, yeah. Definitely a big week.
Thank you. It definitely was a big week, and that was really cool, and I kind of had to admit my video game failness when it came to Mortal Kombat. I'm that person who always gets his butt whooped in any kind of either fighting game or first-person shooter. Street Fighter, forget it. No matter who I'm playing, I'm getting my butt whooped. GoldenEye, I still have memories from high school of just constantly. I think I've heard that theme from getting killed in my sleep. Da 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 da. Brum. Yeah, I've heard that way too many times in my lifetime.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Not a whole lot of success with the one player or the first-person shooter fighting, all of those games. But by the way, I have to point out something here. That's an interview that you and I were supposed to work together on. And I don't recall hearing any of my questions there. I don't think I got one in.
Well, Al over at WWE, the PR guy, he kind of gave the wrap it up symbol. So I had to wrap it up rather succinctly.
Oh, okay, that's what happened there. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, of course. Plus, it's my show. Damn it.
That's all right. I hijacked the Sandow interview. We're even.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we've got one more here before I know we're way up against it here. We got so much to do still, but we talked with a lot of current stars and even a little bit of a name from the past, but still currently active. And it's also cool to talk to some of the legends that were up there. And this one in particular. I mean, who hadn't he managed over his career? I mean, going back to when he managed in the 80s, the Hart Foundation, Dino Bravo, the fabulous Rougeau brothers. In the 90s, he managed different members of the Dungeon of Doom. He managed Hogan and that brief bit Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And he's always notorious for having that megaphone with him, none other than the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Fearon Derry here with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, Hall of Famer. Just a couple quick questions for you. One, you managed obviously a lot of different champions, a lot of tag teams, a lot of singles wrestlers. I mean, who was your favorite of the bunch? I know it's kind of hard to pick one, but
I had so many of them. I had the Huckster, I had the Honky Tonk Man, the Hart Foundation. The list goes on and on and on. I don't want anybody to hear this and get mad at me. So everybody was great.
Jimmy, where did you come up with the idea for the megaphone?
Well, the megaphone, Vince McMahon, it was his idea. He brought it back from Japan. He went to Japan on a tour. He brought it back to me. He said, Jimmy, you can fix it up, clean it up, paint it up, do whatever you want to with it. It's the greatest thing anybody's ever given me.
And I noticed you've got the hearts around the jacket here, and you had a bunch of different lavish outfits from the fleur-de-lis for the fabulous Rougeaus. How many of those jackets and outfits do you have?
We have so many of them. The reason I try to be colorful, because Dick Clark told me something one time before I got in wrestling when I had my million seller with the group, the Gentrys. He said, remember, when you're on stage, if you dress like the audience, one day you're going to wind up sitting in the audience.
That's a heck of a statement. Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, appreciate it here at WrestleMania Axxess. I appreciate a few minutes of your time.
We love you guys. Thank you.
And a Dick Clark drop. I mean, it's almost as if Jimmy Hart knew I was a game show buff, and that would be there would be extra bonus points, as if I wouldn't not like the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. But throwing a little Dick Clark drop in there, you can't go wrong with that. Plus, all of his musical credit. Everything with American Bandstand all those years. I Talk Like Pyramid was the only thing that he did. He obviously did a lot more than that.
One of the things I talked about how Damien Sandow stayed in character the whole time through his interview. I don't think Jimmy Hart was in character. I just don't think that dude has an off switch. I think that's just him.
Yeah, that's just how Jimmy Hart is. Yeah, I've seen him on a couple of other occasions prior to that, and he is wound up.
Yeah.
I'd love to find out his energy plan. Well, what? Maybe he was doing DDP yoga before DDP was. I don't know.
I think that's where it is, for sure.
Yeah, we'll go with that. It'll get me brownie points. right, Mike Samsel. I'm forget I'm up against it. I'm already pushed through it. But thanks so much for joining me here. We'll look forward to seeing you back on here at some point. You're on your way to doing something, I would imagine, of great importance, which is why you're not here.
Not quite of great importance, but I have a broadcast coming up doing a lacrosse game. So maybe my second venture into the lacrosse world. And hopefully it goes better than the first.
Well, you can hardly do worse than the Wings have. Oh, yeah, I said it. I said it. I know Richie somewhere is going, you no good son of an unnamed goat. Yes, longtime friend of the show and former co-host here, Richie Blyweiss. Yeah, obviously a lot of stuff with the Wings, but there's always next year, as there has been for quite a while. And there's always the next time that Mike Samsel joins us, whether it'll be live in studio or via satellite like here. Thank you so much for an insane WrestleMania weekend and helping make it truly awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for us. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Mike Samsel here at WBCB. You never know what he's going to, when he's going to pop up or what he's going to do. All right. I am insanely late for a break, so we're going to go ahead and take care of that. We're going to come back, going to talk a little John Cena, also some TNA, and having the past become present again. We'll talk a little bit about that, plus more of your calls as well, Facebook feedback, a ton of news and notes. So much to do, and we're already halfway through the show. 215-949-3232 or toll free at 888-922-2149. Those are the ways to reach us here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.